Okay, welcome to the part 4 of our advanced PDO project. From the last tutorial, we created the user class and we created 3 methods in that class. But in this lesson, what we're going to be doing is we'll be creating an update method so that we can update any values in our database. This is different from the RunQuery method we created in the second lesson of this tutorial, and after that we're gonna use this update method in our user class. So let's go ahead. Okay, so first of all, before we start, we have to open up our PDO connection if it's not open, and so get that open. Let me just okay, so let's start. All right, so let's start by making this a protected function. We're gonna call it update query, and this method will take table, pk, or field, let's say the pair field, and the fields you want to update, and data. All right. Okay. So the first thing we want to do again is to store that PDO so that make this PDO connection shorter, and we need to create an array of the params. Let's make it data params plus array. Create an empty array. Let me get some space here for you. There you go. All right, and we also need an update. And we're gonna create a for each loop, and we're gonna loop through the fields, and it's not gonna be a value pair. We're just gonna call this F for field, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna check if loop through the fields and check if, let me just quickly do this, and I'll explain it later. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're looping through the fields. The fields are pretty much this one here. These are the fields. So that when you update something, you tell which table do you want to update, which pair field do you want to base it on. Like, so for example, you could say update table, then a table name, and then you would say where you put in the fields, and you put in the data, and then you would say where ID is equal to this. So that ID is a reference. So the PK field would be our reference. Okay. So I hope this is not that complicated for you. I mean, you do not need to understand what's happening here. Just follow along, and I'll just show you how you use this later on. Okay. So let me finish this up. So let's go to update. Okay, so this is the update class. Sorry that took a while. Again, you do not need to understand this if you did not follow me here. I wanted it to go really quick. So the most important thing is we created this class. I hope you've followed along. If not, you can pause the video if you need to. Okay. So that this update query would then be accessible from any classes that derive from PDO connection. So what we're gonna do here is use that class. So we could go public function update user, and then what do we want to update? That's again, that's something that you need to consider. Like if you go back here, you need to know what you're actually updating. Okay, so let's copy this and put it above here. So we can refer to it. So obviously the what we want to update is the users table, right? But I'm not gonna put it there. We're actually gonna get the data. So first thing would be the field from the user. So in this case, it would be the ID, right? The ID of the user is what we are actually gonna update this based on. Okay. So you could go user ID. Take that one as a parameter. Then we also need an array of so we got the user ID, then we got the fields. Of course, we know what the fields are, so we don't need to ask that from the user since we know we have it here. The data, again, that would be an array, like an associative array. So we call it assoc data. Okay, so those are the data that we're gonna be getting from the user. Okay, now we can notice that again this update returns the row count. So we could fetch the result like this or ret value. Okay, and we can then go this update user, and the table would be users obviously, and the PK field would be the user ID. User ID, I believe it has to be an array for this to work. I'm just checking my documentation here. Yeah, that's user ID. Again, the data. Just like that. So if, then we're just gonna return the, no, if ret val is greater than 0, that means it's successful. So you could echo out dated successfully. Else, able to save changes. That's it. That was an easy method. All right. So so now I've shown you how to create the update method, which is this, right? And I've also shown you how we've also created an update user under our class user that uses the update user method in our PDO connection class. So that's it for this lesson. Where are we? Part 5 or part 6? Part 4. So on come back on part 5. We're gonna be testing the class user, see if it works, and then after that we're gonna create the actual form to get the data from and submit that form and use the class user. All right, see you again. Ciao.